Hey, how's it going, everybody? Shaun here for another daily movie review, a little bonus video today. This one is not horror related. As you can see by the title, I checked out Borat Subsequent Moviefilm, the new Borat movie that was dropped on Amazon Prime today, last night. Actually, it came out last night, about 8 o'clock, and I was going to watch it and talk about it last night, and then I was like, I'm tired. I'm just going to go to bed. I'm a fan of the original Borat as much as you can be, I suppose. I do think it's a generally funny movie. I think Sacha Baron Cohen, while his shtick has kind of gotten old, and I don't think that, I don't know, it just doesn't. The older you get, the less impressed you are by it, especially once you kind of learn the way he constructs things and the shocking revelations about the human nature and the experience of bigots. And he's always he likes to angle his comedy in terms of like expose, and a lot of times it just falls flat because there's this weird disconnect. And I think what is it, Hitchens wrote about this when discussing Borat and actually the true nature of Borat and what it actually means about the people that Borat interacts with, is that it shows that most people are pretty tolerant and patient. you know Borat is a misogynistic, bigoted, kind of dumb guy, right? Not just the fact that he's from a foreign nation or whatever, but he's posited as kind of intellectually third world, I guess would be a way to put it. And the vast majority of people he deals with, like 90% of the people, are pretty tolerant of his behavior and the things he says. In fact, they try to just inform him and just be like, that's not how we really do that in this country, et cetera, et cetera. Borat 1, the first Borat, it's pretty good natured. I do think it takes a few swings and misses in terms of trying to expose people and whatnot. And I think if you go looking for it enough, you will find people, obviously. You will find bigoted, sexist people. One of the big things that came out of it was the USC students in the RV. But those guys were just like, not saying that those dudes are good or whatever, and even really defending them. I'm just saying they were really fucked up. Those guys were obviously like blackout drunk. And he's goading them into saying things. And it's pretty clear that he is. He's goading them into those kind of responses. And when you're blackout drunk, I'm sorry, but I don't know if you're really revealing the deepest, darkest parts of yourself in the way that some people may claim. But yeah. So for the most part, the first one works pretty well. It operates pretty well. It's very broad. They're kind of these universally funny things that almost anybody can laugh at, just situationally. Even when he's kind of, confronting politicians, or somehow he gets an interview with politicians and whatnot. Like the situations and the scenarios they're in they're kind of funny in a way that anybody would think is funny. When he's like saying that it's part of his culture to eat cheese, to share cheese, and then as the guy's eating the cheese, as the politician's eating the cheese, he reveals that like, this is from my mother or from my wife's breast milk, and the look on his face, just things like that, like super really funny. I've kind of fallen out of love with him. I think when he did the series, what was it? This Is America, I believe that's what it's called. I could be mistaken here. What is it called? Who is America? Not that because I thought that one was kind of exploitative and really just kind of gross, because you're just kind of baiting people. There's a few things in there that I thought were completely fine, and this idea of kind of going after politicians or whatever, I don't really have a problem with that. I think those kind of people are fair game, and those people should know better. Like, they're never in a situation where they're not like thinking that they're there's not hidden camera stuff. I mean, like they're not under false pretenses. They think they're in some sort of interview or media experience. So what the fuck are you doing? I will say that. But most of the time, none of the jokes really land. It's not very funny. Because people don't react in the way that he needs them to react, because he's trying to be much more provocative in a specific manner. And I would say Borat 2, Borat Subsequent Moviefilm, suffers from this a great deal. He could not get the footage he needed to even creatively edit things. Like the big Rudy Giuliani thing that dropped on Twitter the other day. That is such a dead on arrival moment. There's almost nothing even like bordering on controversial that happens. Honestly, there isn't. And you don't know anything of the other context of what they edited out or whatever. And normally I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was fucking funny. There was one moment in the Rudy thing where it did make me laugh, and it was it was Rudy Giuliani's expression. She hands him like this book that's like teaches her. It's kind of like a birds and the bees book, or kind of like a cautionary tale about sexuality and her femininity. And he gives it to Rudy, saying, "Well, this is your book now," because she's gonna, she thinks she needs to marry him. And he's looking through it, and there's like these ridiculous pictures of vaginas with teeth, like biting a hand and stuff. And he's like, "Oh, well, this is very nice." I mean, he's just trying to be diplomatic. He's just trying to not be rude. If somebody presented you with that and you thought they were who they were presenting themselves as, you probably wouldn't be like, "Whatever, you fucking psycho, get away from me." Like, is that what like Sacha Baron Cohen's hoping is the reaction when he goes into these things? Like people like himself, like, oh, because he walks into CPAC in a KKK outfit, which lasts 10 seconds. So I would assume if he had more provocative footage, he would have showed it. But nobody, like, I guess, attacks him with a baseball bat. So that's proof that people are okay with that. People are probably just confused, So yeah, I did not love Borat Subsequent Moviefilm. And I come at it from a person that really enjoyed the original. But the sequel, I think, just is very wide of the mark. It feels very rushed and cobbled together. He clearly just didn't have a lot of material. And then come to find out this afternoon, so maybe it was a good thing I didn't immediately jump into a review on it, is that even some of the things that the more shocking moments, like he goes to like an anti-mask rally, is completely fabricated in editing. In terms of the audience reaction, because he sings this like very kind of xenophobic, racist, nationalistic song called about the Wuhan flu, the Chinese virus or whatever, and he says very incendiary things. He gets people to chant them back at him. But the real story, because this actually came out, when the story broke, I thought he was just doing an episode of This Is America, or Who Is America rather, and so I thought it was that. I didn't realize it would be for a Borat movie, because what could be more hacked than that? But but I guess, hey, whatever. But so I always thought it was for that. But if you read the story about what actually happened, and some people, they have the footage from the event, like people on their cell phones and stuff, because apparently he didn't do a very good job of kind of hiding that it was him, or that it was obviously a gag, and people were like booing him, and he ends up getting chased out of the event. Like, he ends up getting chased out. So they didn't even, and that's not in the movie, like, at all. Which is weird, because you think there'd be a way to recontextualize that in a humorous way that it would have worked. You could have worked it into the narrative of the movie, because I assume a lot of the stuff is on the fly in terms of the base stuff. But there's also a weird thing, because now Sacha Baron Cohen is too popular to really go out and do a lot of stuff himself. So they got an actress, Maria Bakalova, who's I think she's from Bulgaria. She's actually a working real actress. This is not like her first rodeo or anything like that. And she plays Borat's daughter, and she does a lot of the kind of hidden camera stuff in this movie. A lot of it's more focused specifically on her. But again, really, they don't successfully get a lot of like interesting reactions. I mean, she goes to like this women's Republicans meeting thing, and they're just kind of nice to her. I mean, they don't want her there after she starts talking about masturbating in front of them all. So they're kind of like, oh, we should get her an Uber. We should get her out of here. So like, obviously they don't want her there, but nobody's like throwing shit or yelling at her or being really rude, and I think that's the whole point, is that people are pretty tolerant, even to people that they don't agree with. Even when people say inflammatory, incendiary things around them, people are pretty chill most of the time. And it's weird that they think you're going to have the opposite reaction. I guess maybe I'm just desensitized or something, but there was nothing in this movie that I found really all that shocking. Like, that came out of the kind of the targets of Borat and Cohen and crew. I just wasn't that weirded out by it. I mean, sure, like, they have some guys, a couple guys that are into like QAnon and stuff, but even like the stuff they get into is not like the craziest shit. And I think he was trying to lead them down some sort of anti-Semitic talking points, and they don't really take the bait. So, I mean, good for them. But it's weird. Like, he must have just not had anything else, and he just had to go with what he had to make the movie, because this is clearly another one of these examples, like the Comey Rule or whatever, where these political ads that go out and vote, rock the vote shit. Like, there's so much hubris. They're so like narcissistic that they think that their input is going to like actually change people's minds. You know, The West Wing had some sort of special reunion special on HBO Max to get people get out and vote. Vote, motherfucker, vote. Vote. Nothing makes me not want to vote like shit like this. I swear to God. Even at the end of this fucking movie, it tells you to vote. These people are fucking insane. Like, why? What is the fucking point of that? I mean, Jesus, it's just never, like, the proselytizing just never fucking ends. And they're so arrogant that they think this is some sort of revelatory thing. Oh, let's peel back the layers on the evil middle America, Southern people. Like, and it just doesn't work. And my history as a person, I'm from Massachusetts. I lived there for almost 19 years. I lived all over Massachusetts. I lived in rural areas. I lived in metropolitan areas. And then I moved down south. I moved away from the south. I've come back down south. It is not any different than anywhere else. So, like, the weird fucking bizarre arrogance people still have, like these weird stereotypes about just Southern people. Trust me, you can find hillbilly dirtbags in fucking New England just as much as you can find them anywhere else on the planet. Same thing, you go into the Midwest. Like, again, I've worked a lot. I've traveled a lot around this great country. I was pipelining for a little while, so I actually got to go live in places where I worked. Okay? These kind of people can be found anywhere. And the fact that he just specifically does it to a certain demographic is telling, because he understands the stereotype. He understands that stereotype is like a meme, and people automatically make assumptions when they hear the way a person talks, and he knows that, and he just uses it as almost like a cheat. It's just a cheat for him, and it's so fucking lazy and uninteresting. And if like that's your entire thing is just predicated on like, oh, laugh at the dumb Southern people, it's just like, okay, buddy, okay. I mean, I live here because I hate the snow. Once you get away from snow, you don't want to go back. But again, like I said, it ends up just being the same. It's really what you bring to it, you know? Anyways, there's lots of things you could criticize about Southern culture, by the way. I'm not saying that there isn't. I live here. I know. But I would say the same is true anywhere. It just depends where you want to put your magnifying glass. And his just style of doing it, I just think is fucking lazy. And there's nothing will leave a worse taste in my mouth than a movie that like posits itself as some sort of important political statement right before the credits. Like, fucking insane. And then it just there's this weird turn where the character completely like loses its own nature in the world, where like Kazakhstan becomes fucking a woke feminist country. And the joke is that they're just not even funny. It's not even done well. I don't know. Very disappointing, you know, and I had kind of no expectations for it. I was just like, whatever, you know, I'll check it out. I like Borat well enough. You know, I kind of knew what I was getting into because of all like especially with the Rudy Giuliani stuff. Like, I didn't even watch the trailer for this movie. That's how much I didn't really give a shit. But I had Amazon Prime. It dropped on there. Needed a break from horror movies. Actually, I gotta record some more horror movie reviews. Hopefully I'll get to do that right after this. But yeah, man, I think I chuckled like twice. And not like guffaws. I watched the first Borat. I was kind of laughing my ass off. Like, it's a funny movie. It's broadly funny. It's a broad comedy, as I described earlier. But watching this, man, I could not just from the get-go, to the moment it starts, it's just like, this is boring and not interesting. I was fucking bored. I was just couldn't wait for it to be over almost. And nothing was shocking. Nothing was surprising. Maybe it's just the nature of his shtick. Maybe there is just kind of an expiration date on him specifically being able to going back to the well so many times, you know? So maybe that is a part of it. You know, I've just seen too much Sacha Baron Cohen stuff. Maybe if I was less familiar with his filmography, um, I would have gotten more out of it. Or maybe it would have been more revelatory or something. But, you know, it's weird. It is reviewing pretty well. I mean, I'm not a big Rotten Tomatoes person, but the Rotten Tomatoes score is 84% critics, 76% audiences. Not a ton of audience ratings though, only 227, which I guess that does not really bode well for the movie. I guess. Borat Subsequent Moviefilm proves Sacha Baron Cohen's comedic creation remains a sharp tool for exposing the most misguided or utterly repugnant corners of American culture. See, that right there is some fucking hubris. Like, that is not what this movie does. That's not even what the first fucking Borat does. That's just the awfulness of these people. The arrogance. The small-mindedness, the pedantic nature of their, like, analysis on culture. Plenty of things to criticize about American culture. Don't get me wrong. I'd be the first one to do it. Me and my brother Dan on Zoobox Prime fucking fight about it all the time. But this is not it. This is not it. Like, it's just not. Let's see what some of these top critics are saying about about Borat Subsequent Moviefilm. Now isn't just the right time for a Borat sequel. It may be the only time. Sorry, now I'm just reading them to myself on camera. Yeah, you know what's a weird thing? I thought they were going to have more of an angle about the virus stuff, the pandemic. It's kind of barely plays into the movie. I expected that to be a much bigger portion of it because, like, you know, I know he started filming this in, like, this late spring, early summer, and he's filmed it through the summer. They had a cut of the movie, I think, in end of August. They started showing it to distributors at the end of August. So, oh, there's Foster. Oh, nice. Oh, cool. Muppet Baby Tomatoes. I'll be right there, buddy. So that means our time is through. But, listen. Yeah, I expected that to be a way bigger part of it. Just the virus stuff and people not wearing masks and their things about Bill Gates. And it's not really that big of a part of the movie. I was surprised. Shocked, even. Thought it was going to be much more like a screed about how this has been handled rather than just kind of, I don't even know. It seemed very confused. It's just like, oh, America is bigoted. America is sexist. They do not want the woman to succeed. See, like my Borat impression? Very nice. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully a rash of people running around doing the Borat impression is not what we're going to get out of this thing. My wife. Can you imagine doing that? People coming up behind you in stores and doing that again? It was terrifying when it first happened. I can't even imagine what would happen now. Oh. Oh. Woo. Woo. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. Unlike the first movie, this one is a satisfying narrative, not a collection of skits. False. Chris Hewitt from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. False. Let's see here. The funniest stuff is enough to carry the film through its saggy parts. John Serba, Decider. False. What's there? In an era when suspicion is widespread, we're all being pranked one way or another, there is an almost nostalgic appeal to a con man willing to come clean about his scams. Jake Wilson, The Age, from Australia. Sacha Baron Cohen hasn't lost the power to deliver audacious surprises with enough explosive, not suitable for anywhere laughs to power through the flatter patches of this sort of exercise inevitably yields. That's a little closer to reality. What's this? There's one negative one. I laughed at a good deal of the movie, but a good deal more of it left me with a Cohen's intention, probably the taste of ashes in my mouth. Okay, buddy. Yeah, these people are fucking snob. See what we got, some 5-star reviews here. These are some user reviews we got here. You'll love the first hour as it is almost as hilarious in the film. It is the most hilarious in the film.
Dad, I want raspberry.
You got it, buddy. And that's where we'll leave you, people. These people, they're reviewing this movie, and I don't agree with them. They're wrong. They're wrong. Borat 2. Waste your time. I'm sorry. Hate to tell you that. You know, I'm sure if you're excited and you stumbled upon this, I hate to be the one that has to let you know. Borat 2, kind of not great. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about Zoobox, a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, for Instagram, for my personal Twitter, for Dan's Twitter. Also, if you'd like to make a request for a daily video, throw it in the comments, and it'll be put on the list. Goodbye.